Hello and welcome back to English Unlimited Podcast, the place where we break down English for you. I'm your host, Charlie.
And I'm Jamie. Good to see everyone.
I am really excited about today's topic. I want to start with something that I think is just so relatable, especially for, anyone listening who's in the middle of learning English.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the struggle?
It's that feeling of being constantly on stage. You know what I mean?
The performance mindset.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like when you're trying to use a new phrase in front of a native speaker or you're in a class, you just feel this intense pressure. Like everyone is watching your every move.
And judging every mistake. It's paralyzing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That constant worry of, why am I not improving faster? Or, oh no, what if I try this new verb tense and just completely fail in front of everyone?
It's so distracting. I used to feel like I had to constantly explain my journey. If someone asked about my English, I'd give them this 10-minute speech about my study schedule and my struggles. It was just mentally exhausting.
You're spending more energy managing perceptions than actually learning.
Exactly. And that, right there, leads us perfectly into our deep dive today. Because the solution to that whole cycle, it's pretty counterintuitive. It's the power of silence.
The power of silence and inner focus.
Yeah, and I have to say, that sounds like the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
My first instinct is always that I need to be louder, engage more, talk more. Silence feels like hiding.
Well, we're going to challenge that idea today. We're going to look at the psychology behind why silence is actually a huge source of strength and confidence.
And then connect it back to learning English.
And then connect it directly to how you can optimize your learning strategies. We've got a really surprising fact coming up, too, that passive listening, when you do it right, is never actually passive.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. That sounds like a game changer for anyone who feels overwhelmed.
We'll also have a fun pop quiz later on based on some of the key vocabulary we're going to unpack, so you want to pay close attention.
Okay, but before we dive into the quiet, let's make a little noise. If you're getting value from these deep dives, please just take 2 seconds right now, hit that subscribe button, and like this episode. It really helps the English Unlimited podcast bring you more of this content.
All right, let's do it. Let's start with the mind.
So the foundation, the psychology of it all.
Exactly. We're starting with why shifting your focus inward is the first step. The source material we looked at talks a lot about this thing called the spotlight illusion.
The spotlight illusion, that sounds exactly like what I was describing.
It is. It's that feeling that we're always on a stage performing for an audience that's just watching and judging our every single move, especially our mistakes.
Right. Like if I mispronounce one word, the whole conversation is ruined and that's all anyone will remember.
But our brains insist on it. We wake up and we're already asking ourselves, what will they think if I do this? What will they say if I fail? We invent this whole audience.
I have the perfect anecdote for this. I mentioned the gym earlier, and it's so true. When I first started working out, I was convinced, 100% convinced, that every single person was watching me, judging my form, laughing at the weights I was using.
It sounds incredibly stressful.
It was. I spent more energy trying to look like I knew what I was doing than actually doing it right.
And what was the big realization?
It was twofold, really. First, nobody was looking at me. They all had headphones on. They were making these, pained expressions. They were just trying to survive their own workout.
Right, they're trapped in their own spotlight.
Totally. And second, even if they did look, they forgot about me 10 seconds later. I just wasn't important enough to be the main character in their day. Realizing that was such a relief.
That is the absolute core of this first point. People are way too busy with their own worries, their own fears, their own to-do list to focus that intensely on you. That spotlight you feel, it's almost always an illusion. It's a story your anxiety is telling you.
Okay, but let me push back a little. I get that strangers at the gym don't care. But what about? What about a teacher who is grading my essay? Or a manager who is evaluating my English in a meeting? That judgment is real.
That's a great point. And we're not saying to ignore feedback. The strategy is about shifting your focus internally. It's about shifting from performance to process.
What does that look like?
So when your teacher gives you feedback, instead of jumping in to defend why you made the mistakes, you listen quietly, you absorb it, you focus on applying it.
So you stop focusing on the fear of the grade and you just focus on the task of improving.
Exactly. Silence becomes the tool you use to absorb information without your ego or fear getting in the way. You stop performing and you start learning.
I like that. Strategic freedom. And that leads right into the next point, doesn't it? How silence builds actual confidence.
It really does. And a lot of cultures, especially Western ones, we think silence is awkward or weak. We rush to fill any gap in a conversation.
Oh, absolutely. If I don't talk, I worry people will think I'm upset or that I don't know the answer. I feel this pressure to just say something, anything.
And that discomfort is exactly where the power is. Real confidence doesn't need to prove anything. Think about it. If someone talks nonstop, their words eventually just become background noise.
You kind of tune them out.
You do. But when someone is quiet and speaks only when they have something to say, you lean in. You listen more carefully. Their words suddenly have weight.
It's like you're teaching people that when you speak, it's worth listening to.
Precisely. It shows you respect your own thoughts enough to deliver them fully formed.
Okay, that's a huge insight. And speaking of words, I want to pause here. You mentioned a source that was skeptical of our topic today. The author said it was easy to dismiss passive listening as bull.
Right.
That word dismiss. I've heard it a lot, but I don't think I really get it. Can we unpack that one?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic word. So in plain English, to dismiss something means you decide it's not important or not worth thinking about. You just kind of send it away from your mind.
So it's like a quick rejection. You don't even give it serious thought.
Exactly. You're mentally waving it away. Let's do a few examples.
Okay.
A formal one from a legal context, maybe. The court decided to dismiss the case due to lack of evidence. The court is literally sending the case away.
Got it. Legal, final. What about a more casual one?
Okay, casual. I tried to explain my new idea, but my manager dismissed it immediately. She just decided it wasn't worth considering.
Ouch. That's a tough one. And the funny or weird example?
I like your new purple boots, but your cat seems to dismiss them completely. The cat has judged the boots and found them unimportant.
The cat is not impressed. I love it. Okay, let's do a quick role play. I'll suggest a terrible idea for a weekend trip, and you have to dismiss it.
I'm ready.
Okay, I've got a great idea. This weekend, let's drive 8 hours to go see the world's largest ball of twine.
I appreciate the enthusiasm, but I'm going to have to gently dismiss that suggestion. I think I'd rather spend the weekend relaxing, not driving for 16 hours.
Fair enough. You quickly decided my idea was not worth the effort.
Exactly. And for collocations, you'll often hear it paired with adverbs like quickly, lightly, or immediately. And we often dismiss things like a case, an idea, or a notion.
That helps a lot. Okay, moving on to the next psychological point. Protecting your energy. This feels so important for the long marathon of learning a language.
It's critical that sources talk about silence acting as a boundary, a shield, against what they call draining people.
The energy vampires. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Right. The people who only want advice or attention but never really listen. The core idea is that the more time you spend explaining yourself to people who don't deserve that energy, the more exhausted you become.
Yeah, the energy is finite. I remember the source example. Giving a super long explanation to a friend for why you can't hang out and then just feeling completely drained afterwards.
That's the feeling. You hang up the phone and realize you have nothing left for your actual goals, like your studies. Sometimes a simple no is enough. You don't owe everyone an explanation.
When I give too many explanations, I feel so exhausted or drained. You use that word. What exactly does it mean when we're talking about energy?
That's a great question. When we use drained for people, it means feeling completely empty of energy, physically or mentally, like a battery that's hit zero.
Okay, the battery at zero. That's a great image. Can we do the 3 examples?
Of course. Let's start formal. The lengthy negotiation process left the executive committee feeling mentally drained. All their brain power is gone.
High pressure context makes sense. What about casual?
I finished moving apartments today. I'm totally drained. I can't even stand up.
Yeah.
Pure physical exhaustion.
Been there. And the funny one.
My goldfish stared at me for an hour, and now I feel emotionally drained.
The goldfish demanded too much emotional labor. Okay, let's do the role play. Let's pretend we just finished a really long, hard study session. Wow. My brain feels like it's full of fog. After all those grammar exercises, I don't think I can read another sentence.
Tell me about it. I am completely drained. If I see one more phrasal verb today, I think my head might actually explode.
I think we need a massive coffee. We are completely drained.
Absolutely. And for collocations, you'll often hear it with physically, mentally, emotionally, or completely. You usually say, I feel drained or something drained me.
Good to know. Okay, last psychological point. Silence ends drama and strengthens your goals.
And this is totally connected to protecting your energy. Drama needs a reaction to survive. Anger, arguments.
Yeah.
They all feed on your response. The moment you stop reacting, the drama just starts.
If someone criticizes my accent and I argue back, I'm just giving their criticism more power.
You're feeding the fire. If you stay silent, the fire goes out. And this applies directly to your goals. The source material had a great metaphor for this.
The seeds in the soil.
Exactly. Keep your goals private, like seeds hidden in the soil. If you announce them too early, you expose them to doubt, criticism, jealousy, all things that can kill your motivation.
Talk less, move more, let your results do the talking.
That's the motto. And to protect those goals, you need our third vocabulary word.
I love this one. The idea that silence is a shield. It feels so powerful. But how do I use that in a normal sentence without sounding like a knight in a castle?
That's a perfect question. So a shield, in plain English, is just something used for protection. Metaphorically, we use it to mean any kind of protective boundary against negativity.
Okay, give me some non-battlefield examples.
Formal first. The company used intellectual property rights as a legal shield against competitors. The laws are a protective wall.
A legal shield. Got it. Casual.
She wears her headphones as a shield against the noisy commuters on the train. The headphones protect her mental peace.
So relatable. And the weird one.
When my cat wants to sleep, he uses his tail as a shield to cover his eyes.
His tail is protecting him from the light. Perfect. Okay, role play time. You try to ask me about a secret goal, and I'll use silence as a shield.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I've seen you've been working really hard lately. You're preparing for some big exam, aren't you? Tell me what it is.
I appreciate you asking. But for now, I'm just keeping my head down and focusing. My silence on this is sort of a shield. It helps me protect my energy for the actual work. I'll share the news when I'm ready.
Very well played. You used it perfectly. And for collocations, we often say protective shield, an emotional shield, or do you use something as a shield?
Okay, so we've laid all this psychological groundwork. We know that silence builds confidence and acts as a shield. Now let's make the connection. How does this help me learn English better?
This is where we get really practical. We need to understand the two main ways we listen, active and passive, and we need to stop dismissing one in favor of the other.
Okay, so break it down for us. What are the definitions?
Think of it as a scale of attention. At one end, you have passive listening. This is just hearing the language in the background while you're doing something else.
Like having a podcast on while I'm washing the dishes.
Exactly. You're not forcing yourself to concentrate. At the other end, you have active listening. This is focused attention. You're analyzing vocabulary, maybe taking notes, maybe even shadowing, repeating what you hear.
So active listening is like a focused workout for your ears.
That's a great way to put it. The key difference is meaningful cognitive engagement.
And this is where the big debate is, right? Does passive listening actually work, or is it a waste of time?
That's the classic debate. For a long time, educators would just dismiss it. But the research shows a much more interesting story, especially for adult learners who are often totally drained by the end of the day.
So what are the actual benefits of passive listening?
It's not about learning specific vocabulary. It's about building familiarity. It trains your ear to the rhythm, the intonation, the music of the language.
So it's about learning the sound of English.
Yes. It helps you build an intuitive feeling for what sounds right. We call this implicit knowledge.
And active listening.
The benefits there are much more clear-cut. It boosts your comprehension, grows your vocabulary, and gives you knowledge you can actually use. That's what we call explicit knowledge.
Okay, implicit and explicit. This is a really confusing pair of words. Can you break them down for us? Are they opposites?
They are basically opposites. Let's use an analogy. Riding a bike.
Okay.
Explicit knowledge is like reading the manual. You can explain the physics of balance, the mechanics of the gears. It's clear, direct knowledge you can state.
But knowing the theory doesn't mean you can ride the bike.
Exactly. Implicit knowledge is the feeling of balancing. It's in your muscles. You just know how to do it, but
Yeah.
you can't really explain how. It's understood without being said.
I see. So explicit is the rule I can write down. Implicit is the gut feeling I have.
Perfect. In language, you might have an implicit feel for correct pronunciation from passive listening, but you need active study to gain the explicit knowledge to use that word in a sentence.
Okay, let's do the full unpack. This pair seems really important.
It is. Let's start with a formal example for explicit. The instructions are very explicit about how to cook the pasta. Clear, direct, no room for confusion.
Got it. And for implicit.
Formal one for implicit. The company gave their implicit approval by remaining silent during the meeting. They didn't say yes, but everyone understood.
Understood without being said. Okay, how about a casual one for both?
For explicit, the instructions were very explicit. Turn left at the blue house. Very clear.
And the funny or weird one comparing them?
My dog's tail wagging is his explicit statement that he wants food, but his constant stare is his implicit request.
The stare is the unspoken pressure. I love that. Okay, role play. I'll ask for help with homework. You give me explicit rules, and I'll try to give an implicit hint for more help.
Let's do it.
Hey, can you help me with this math problem?
Sure, here are the explicit rules. First, you do this calculation, then you carry the 1, and then you divide by 2.
Okay, I see. I get it. Long pause. It's just still a little confusing, you know?
I'm sensing your implicit request for me to just do it for you.
Maybe. All right, collocations.
For explicit, you'll see instructions, knowledge, consent. For implicit, it's often knowledge, trust, assumption. This is so important for the next part.
The golden rule of learning.
The crucial role of comprehensible input. This is the one thing everyone needs to remember.
Okay, what is it?
It means that listening, both active and passive, only works if the material is comprehensible. You have to understand most of it.
So if I, a B1 learner, listen to a university lecture on quantum physics in English.
It's just noise. Your brain gets nothing. You're waiting for the language to just magically enter your head, but it won't. It's a waste of time.
So what's the sweet spot? How much should I understand?
The research suggests you need to understand between 75 and 95% of it.
Why that range specifically?
If you understand 100%, it's too easy. You're not learning anything new. But if you understand less than 75%, you spend all your brain power just trying to decode the words you do know, and you have no energy left to figure out the new ones.
You need a foundation to build on.
Exactly. So the strategy is to mix and match. Use passive listening with comprehensible stuff when you're relaxing, but dedicate some quality time to active listening with transcripts and vocabulary lists.
And here comes the twist you teased earlier.
Here it is. Passive listening is never truly passive if you're actually interested in the topic. If you love football and you're listening to a podcast about football, your brain engages automatically. Your interest creates that meaningful cognitive engagement for you.
Wow. So my own focus and passion make the passive learning more effective.
It's the core connection. And that brings us right back to psychology, to something called the affective filter.
The affective filter, I remember this. It's about how your emotions can block you from learning, right?
That's exactly it. When you're anxious or stressed, that feeling of being on stage, your brain puts up a wall. We call that a high affective filter. The language input, even if it's perfectly comprehensible, just bounces off that wall. It never gets in.
So my fear is literally stopping me from learning?
Yeah.
It's draining all my cognitive resources?
It is. But research shows that when you're calm and relaxed, that filter goes down. Mindfulness, deep breathing. These things lower the filter and let the language flow in.
So relaxing isn't just nice, it's an actual learning strategy.
It's a powerful one. Even just 3 to 5 minutes of quiet, deep breathing before a study session can make a huge difference. You're telling your brain it's safe to learn and make mistakes.
That is such a practical tip. Does this approach work better for certain types of people, like introverts?
It definitely supports introverted learning styles. Introverts often prefer to learn alone, through deep reading, journaling, or shadowing in private. A loud, high-pressure class can be incredibly draining for them.
They'd spend all their energy just trying to manage the social anxiety.
Exactly. The ultimate goal here is self-compassion. You approach learning with resilience, not self-criticism. That inner stability keeps the filter low and lets the comprehensible input do its work.
This has been amazing. It connects the dots between my mental state and my learning strategy so clearly.
The mix and match strategy is key. Don't try to be 100% focused all the time. You'll burn out.
Okay, before we get to the quiz, I want to ask about a common mistake. We talked about the word drained.
We did.
So, can I say this? After the party, my energy was drained. It feels right because the energy is gone.
That is such a common mistake, and it makes total sense grammatically, but a native speaker would usually phrase it differently.
Oh, okay. How?
We tend to focus the feeling on the person experiencing it, so you'd say, I felt completely drained after the party.
Ah, so the focus is on I.
Or you could make the party the active agent. The party completely drained me. Both of those sound much more natural.
I felt drained, or the party drained me.
Got it. That's a super helpful clarification. My pleasure.
And
Now, are you ready for the pop quiz? Let's test that explicit knowledge.
I am so ready. Let's do it.
All right. Question 1. What kind of knowledge is the intuitive gut feeling you have for a language, the kind that's not easy to recall and use on command? Is it implicit or explicit?
Ooh, the intuitive one. That's implicit knowledge.
Correct. 1 for 1. Okay, question 2. If you quickly decide a friend's bad idea isn't worth your time and you disregard it, you blank it.
You dismiss it.
Spot on.
Yeah.
2 for 2. Question 3. If you're using silence to protect your energy from negative gossip, your silence is acting as a what?
It's acting as a shield.
Perfect. A
Mhm.
protective shield. You're on a roll. Last one. When you feel totally empty of all mental and physical energy after a long day, you feel completely
You feel completely drained.
4 for 4. Fantastic. You've clearly been doing some very active listening.
I have. So let's wrap this up. What are the key takeaways for everyone listening?
I'd say there are 3 big ones. First, dismiss the spotlight illusion. Stop performing and start learning.
Second, understand the difference between implicit and explicit knowledge. You need a mix of both passive and active listening, but always with comprehensible input.
And third, use silence as a shield. Protect your energy from draining people and situations. A calm mind with a low effective filter learns best.
Powerful ideas. And now for your micro challenge, everyone. We want you to use the word drained in a sentence today. When you're talking about your energy, try it out. Write it down or say it to a friend. Make it active.
And try to find just 5 minutes of quiet today. Put your phone down, breathe deep, and just focus on your own goals. That's where the real growth starts.
If you found this deep dive helpful and you're feeling ready to tackle your English goals, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the English Unlimited podcast. Your support really does mean the world to us.
We wish you all the best on your learning journey.
I'm Charlie. See you next time.